Hey everyone, how are you guys doing tonight? I hope everybody is having a good day. It's kind of having one of those days where I wonder, like, what the hell do I even do this YouTube shit for? Kind of yeah, it's just been kind of that day, The little, so the hubs, Mr. Squid gets up at 2:30. We're in 2:35 for work. He leaves about 5 to 3. So this morning, since I went to work yesterday, and uh he leaves at or he gets home at 5. I leave. I came home at 10:30 last night. I went straight to bed. Didn't do nothing, didn't do any YouTube, didn't look up anything, didn't say hi to anybody. Like, usually I stop in and like decompress and just pop into a couple of streams, and I was like, I went straight to bed. So I am running on 3.5 hours sleep from last night. The little, about 5 minutes after daddy left for work, was like, "Mama, mommy, mom." Like, and hey, Mo Raiders, how are you guys? I was just over there hanging out with Mo. It's kind of one of those things when I fire up my computer at night and get ready to stream, before I before I do it, I always just stop in and, like, say hi to people, and because I haven't been on the computer all day. Not at all. Anything I've needed to do, I've done from my phone. But I've been up since 3:10 this morning, so I am a little bit tired. So that's why I got started just a couple minutes earlier. Um, the little is in her room. We're working on being able to stay in your room for longer periods of time because she didn't take a nap today. Um, Mr. Squid is in bed. Um, he is going to work tomorrow, but then we are going to the lawyer's office tomorrow to sign our paperwork and close on our new house. So that is partially why I'm exhausted, because the last freaking, you notice my stuff is disappearing because it's all getting packed up. But I can't for some reason, I can't get myself, even though I live in Georgia and there's not an ice rink within 3 hours of my house. Um, I can't get myself to put those in a box, because every time I look at them, I want to cry, because that is my sport. And I haven't been able to do my sport in 5 years. 4 years of living down here, and then 6 to 8 months of this crap messing with my balance and me not being able to skate. So, yeah. And if y'all are coming in here from Mo, good, good on you for keeping her company. She is doing her best with that trial, but I that one has to be a dark humor and snark to get yourself through it, because that one I can't do. It just seems too sad for me. But and hey, Wolfram, how are you? How are you? Yes, I got that baby squid alarm. Good day. Invite grandma over to do laundry. Grandma has to work, but luckily we are not technically moving until next week, because the movers are helping us next week. Um, if all this super chat money is just basically going to pay for movers, so you know it's a thing. Um, but um, it's a good thing. Yeah, I miss it too. Yeah, that's my sport. uh, we are moving back to a larger town. So we're not, when I say I have to go to Walmart and it takes me 40 minutes to get there, that's where we're moving. Not to Walmart, but like, you know, Walmart will be a nice, like, hour trip, there 20 minutes to shop and 20 minutes, or it's not going to be like an all day affair where I have to make sure I have snacks packed. I have to bring the diaper bag. I have, I have everything planned. I have to, um, you know, change my plans, or like make sure I got enough gas to get myself there. So it's a, it's a thing. So now it's going to be like, we're going to save money because he'll be closer to work. I won't have to drive 45 minutes to go shopping. There's, more things to do. It's closer to grandma's house. Like we're all good. Um, yeah, that's just I'm just waiting for that. I'm just waiting for that. Right now I just get jumped on. So, yeah. All right. You got the old man alarm, your prostate having to wake up and pee every 2 hours. Sorry. Little medical humor to lighten the mood. So, speaking of lighten the mood, we are going to make fun of CNN for the next hour or two. We are 3 hours and 4 minutes into this good old CNN defamation trial where they get their asses kicked. Spoiler alert. We get to make fun of them because we know the outcome. So I am going to speed it up. We are just at the point where Zachary Young, the plaintiff, was going to testify. So let me start it up.
Yeah,
keep going.
Get the stand. Turn to face the clerk and raise your right hand. Have a seat and just position the microphone where it's facing towards your mouth.
This is the plaintiff.
I'll move the podium back in between the.
There we go.
Yeah, I was getting the bailiff to move that back for you.
Sometimes I wake up when Mr. Squid does, but not all the time. I've learned how to figure it out. It's always CNN's fault. So before they get started, speaking of CNN, I was watching Brandon Tatum's video today, just a little while ago. Mr. Squid had it on before he went to bed, and CNN was talking about Elon Musk being in the Oval Office and taking questions, and they were like, Elon Musk took over all of the questions, and Elon Musk did 63%, if you're counting, 63% of the press conference. And Brandon Tatum brought up a really good point that, like, common sense eludes people. The questions were about what Elon Musk is doing. So why would President Trump answer questions about what Elon Musk is doing when Elon Musk is right there to answer the questions himself? It's like, oh, yeah. It's like a parent asking their dad what their mom's schedule is when their mom's standing right there. It's like, why go to another person and have a third party be a middleman instead of just asking the freaking person who's in charge? Just oh, yeah. Anyway, that's my impression of CNN today. So I am ready to just make fun of them and get sued for defamation.
Good morning, Mr. Young. Good morning. Known each other a long time now. I get a little odd for me to call you Mr. Young. Is it all right if I say Zach?
Please.
Okay. I'd like to take a moment to have the jury get to know you, but before I get there, just saw Mr. Axelrod show a portion of the video segment. Did you see that?
I did.
Did he show the jury the entire video segment?
No, we didn't.
And at one point he paused the video and he says, this is the first 40 seconds of the video. Was it?
No, definitely was not.
And did you ever interact with the first person, the silhouetted figure from California in the video?
No.
Did you ever interact with the second person in the video who was blurred out from Google?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You heard Mr. Roach's opening and you heard Mr. Ashford's opening. Why are we here then?
Kyle really nailed it. I couldn't have put it better myself. CNN claimed they did an investigation, which to me implies a deep dig into me and what I was doing in Afghanistan. They even have a label that clarifies exactly what they were trying to portray, and it says investigation. So that's what it looks like to me. I think that's what it looks like to anyone. And Kyle did a great job of describing the process of this investigation, and it had a very immediate and devastating impact on my life.
Let's get the jury to understand who you are a little bit. Okay?
Sure.
I want to talk, just so you know where I'm going, I want to talk a bit about your family, okay? I know your mother's important to you. Is your mother important to you?
My mom's very important to me.
Tell me a little bit about your mom.
We talk daily. She lives in Colorado Springs. She's 75. She really wanted to be here today, but she has a disability that makes it impossible for her to travel. But she's with me.
And what you do for support?
I support my mom primarily. I have some help with my brothers as well.
And how's that been going, supporting your mom?
It's going. I don't know how long it's going to go. So that's been a very significant point of stress for me because I've done it for decades, and she doesn't have any other way to support herself.
And siblings?
I do. My older brother is behind you, Matthew Young.
Point him out to the jury for me.
He's wearing the brown sweater. Matt's a family doctor in Colorado. He's had his own practice for years. Before that, he was in the Air Force for about 10 years, where he worked all over the world, including Afghanistan.
Do you have any other siblings?
I do. So I have two other brothers. Gabe is the next one down. He's a veterinarian here in Florida. And then the youngest is Caleb. And he's in Colorado Springs.
How's your relationship with Caleb?
Caleb's great. He's the youngest, so we all try to give him guidance, and he's very confused about all of this and how I got here. He's never known a whole lot about my life, my work, because I couldn't tell him much. But it was pretty surprising for all of them to hear about CNN's piece on me.
Nope.
Is the relationship with your brother's always perfect?
Oh no, I mean what families, relationships, the siblings are always perfect. It's been rocky at times, but we've had I think a typical family dynamic.
What about your father?
Father, I don't really have a relationship with him. It was a messy divorce, and we just haven't been in contact in quite a few years.
Are you married, Zach?
I am.
What is your wife's name?
My wife, her name is Irina. I met her about 10 years ago in Austria. She was born in Kazakhstan and immigrated to the U.S. when she was very young. She wanted to be here today, but her mom is sick and unable to care for herself. So Irina has to take care of her mom.
Are we going to get a chance to see her?
We're hoping. We're trying to put together plans for someone to step in so she can come out next week.
And Corey, can you put just for Mr. Young, court and counsel, plans exhibit 307.16? That's not, yeah, sorry, can you take it down, Corey?
Oh, tech issue.
Your Honor, is there a way I cannot publish the exhibit? Is it off?
Put on the witness.
We need a CNN Chuck bingo card.
I don't think it's bad. Can you see something on the screen?
No.
There's nothing on by the witness. Corey, can you go again? Oh, we're broadcasting it there, but it's not on the screen. We have it now. Yeah, it's on counsel table, but it's not by the witness. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Who are we looking at, Zach?
That's my wife, Irina.
Your Honor, plaintiffs would offer plaintiffs 7.16 to evidence.
And Your Honor, for the reasons we discussed yesterday, we would object.
Let's do this. Let me reserve on admitting it at the moment. When we take a break at lunch, for the reasons I said yesterday, we'll need a little bit more argument on it. But if it's admitted, we can publish it when we get back after lunch. If it's not, I'll rule at that point.
Got it.
All right, so we'll reserve on that. What number is that one?
It's 307.16. Your Honor, there's going to be a few of these that are coming in quick succession. It kind of makes a lot of sense to do them now. It'd be odd to do them in the middle.
There may be a difference on each of them. Do you want to lay the foundation and we'll make the argument after we take a break for lunch?
Sure.
Or
I mean, I think I laid the foundation I thought I needed for the limited purpose of this exhibit.
yeah, and it's not necessarily that. It's the
I
other
know.
issue that we got to address.
completely
Oh
understand.
boy.
Want to take 5-minute, 10-minute break?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather go through and then take a lunch break.
Okay.
Judge
Corey,
is
keep
not
going.
gonna-
Yeah, so, I
Sorry.
mean, do
I know you're the plaintiff.
you want to do this now and lay the foundation, and then it's just the issue we got to address
I mean,
do it
it
at lunch, or
doesn't make a lot of sense without the picture.
all right, well then let's just wait to do the rest of them after lunch. We'll argue that after the jury goes to lunch.
Very good. Okay.
That
Name limited
screwed
people.
his whole
You
plan.
pick the one with the dog, Misha, 307. Is it 375? 375. What are we looking at, Mr. Young?
That's me and my German Shepherd, Misha.
And before I seek to publish it, do you like Misha?
I like him a lot. I love him in fact. He's my best friend.
And has his role in your life taken on greater prominence lately?
It's become more important.
Why is that?
I spend a lot of time with him, and he's really helped with me deal with some of the trauma that's been affecting me for the last couple of years.
Ground Plains offer 3075. That is.
Right. And I'll reserve to address it during lunch.
What about friends? Zach.
That's a difficult thing to explain from someone who's not from my world, but because of the nature of my work and what I was doing, I always had to be very careful about letting people too close, let them know about me, because it's a security issue more than anything else.
Does that mean you didn't have any work acquaintances or?
No, not at all. I mean, I have work acquaintances, of course. These are people that I've worked with officially with the government and also commercially. And those relationships are incredibly important, but they're professional relationships.
Do you still have those relationships?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I've had some contact, but, you know, it's hard to explain from someone who's outside my world how devastating it is when somebody puts your face on CNN all over the world with the label. It's not a banner, it's a label telling the viewer what they're seeing, and it says black market. And we can argue about what that means, but common sense to me, you know, I didn't even think it was disputable that it means illegal activities. You know, I don't understand how someone could seriously argue that it means something else, but it's devastating when you're labeled a criminal all over the world for someone like me. And my network, I'll talk more about it later, but these are people that, you know, we refer to ourselves as quiet professionals. We don't look for recognition. We do very hard things in hard places, dangerous places, and discretion and trust it is everything. So when that happens to one of us, the effect is it makes it really hard to maintain that relationship, that professional relationship, because it's like guilt by association. Even though these people have known me for a long time and worked with me and trust me, how can they seriously bring me forward to work, you know, on sensitive projects for companies when the first thing the person at HR is going to do is Google me? And I've never been on Google, never been Googleable before all this. The first thing they're going to see is all this stuff about black markets, and they're not going to care if it's true or not. I mean, what professional contact, what company is going to take that risk if it's the black market guy, regardless of what you claim the definition is, or the other one that doesn't have all this stuff attached to it? It's common sense. So that's been devastating for me.
Back into childhood growing up,
Sure.
freshman, sophomore, junior year, where were you?
So in high school, I spent most of my time in Pennsylvania. This cough won't go away.
Can you get your drink? Yeah.
No, I'm okay. But we moved to Florida after the divorce, my mom and three of us. And I finished my last year of high school in Wellington, Florida, and then went on to Palm Beach Atlantic University after that.
And did you start a business here?
I did later on. I started a business here. Yeah.
Corey, can you put up 307.19 just for? What are we looking at here, Mr.
These are pictures of me, 4 of them, and from 3 out of 4, I'm wearing a Navy uniform. One's real, and 2 are just children's uniforms.
What is your approximate ages in the photos?
The one where I'm wearing the real uniform, I'm thinking I was probably 21, 22, and I couldn't guess about the others. Pretty young.
Give me your best estimate of the ages.
4 and maybe 6. That's a wild guess.
You're little.
I'm young.
Your Honor, please offer 307.19 into evidence.
I'll reserve on that.
Understood. Why are you dressed in a Navy uniform?
The real uniform?
Oh, that one I know.
Okay. You know, I was very young, but you know, even at a young age, I think I can't confirm this, but I'm guessing that my parents probably saw that I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted adventure, even as a young child. So that's why you're seeing me in those pictures.
So let me jump you back. You said you were in Palm Beach Atlantic University, right?
That's right.
Okay, so did you stay and complete your studies at that time?
No, I didn't. I stayed for a few years. But, you know, I was a young man at the time, and I had other ambitions that weren't really tracking with my studies at Palm Beach Atlantic, pursuing this degree. I wanted something more adventurous. I wanted to serve my country, and I wanted to do it in the most elite way that I could. So I wanted to be a Navy SEAL.
Okay, did you try to become an AC?
I sure did, yeah.
Did you take any tests to do that?
I did. So before I actually joined the Navy, I joined the Navy with a contract to become a SEAL, and they don't just give that to anyone. You have to be tested for it. You take an ASVAB test, it's called, for aptitude, and you take a very rigorous physical test. And I scored a very top tier on both.
And once you were accepted into the Navy SEAL,
And back in the day, you had to be only a certain rates to even be accepted into buds. Mr. Squid went to buds, made it through part of Hell Week, and his brain didn't give up, his body did. But if he would have became a SEAL, we never would have met. So there's that.
program, what happened next?
It's been so long ago, I can't give you play-by-play, but
No.
involved
No, you're
going
not.
through basic training, and then
No.
training that gets incrementally harder as it goes along. You basically are. They say the motto is they want to keep you cold, tired, wet, and miserable, and they're really good at it. So spent several years
That I can agree with.
in that program. Testing myself. They were testing me. The whole idea behind a program like that is even the people that have the capabilities to do it, the physical, mental, emotional capabilities, you just don't know how they're going to really perform under pressure when things are at their worst, when they haven't slept in a week.
Be right back.
It's pretty intense.
Mama,
But
Mama Bear mode.
A
little just disappeared.
How were you doing in the program?
I was excelling. I was at the top of my class. I had no issues at all. I can't say that I enjoyed it, but looking back, it was one of the more formidable periods of my young adult professional development.
And tell me a little bit about the injury. What happened?
So we were doing a dangerous night exercise. It involved landing a small boat on a very jagged rocks during high seas, and I was in a very bad place at the wrong time, and I was crushed under the boat.
And as a result of the injury, were you discharged?
No, not immediately. It was severe damage to discs in my back, and they were hoping that this is something that will get better over time, and something that would allow me to
I need to see
rehabilitate
if she's
myself
going to go back to her room.
and continue where I left off.
I'll be back.
And they gave me some time to do that.
What'd you do while they were giving you that time?
I spent, I think it was about a year in Iceland, which is an incredible place. It's not a place that I would have ever picked to go. I would have not been able to find it on a map, but it was an incredible place. I spent about a year there. I was doing just basic law enforcement and security for the Navy. And then they brought me back to SEAL training for more rehabilitation and try to get work back up in the program.
And what was the eventual determination?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, even with that lengthy break, fully rehabilitate to the degree that I needed to. So I was mentally discharged with a service disability.
You said medically discharged?
Yes,
Was it an honorable discharge?
it was.
Cooper, can you put Plaintiff's Exhibit 42 up for the witness and counsel? What are we looking at?
That's my discharge form from the Navy.
Okay. Your Honor, plaintiffs offer Exhibits 42 in evidence.
Objection. 42 evidence.
Can we publish to the jury, Your Honor? Okay. So, Corey, on line A8, there's says like nav spec Warren Sen. Can you highlight? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. What are we looking at, Zach?
That's my primary command. That was the Naval Special Warfare Center in Coronado, California.
Okay, and Corey, on the right side, the box that says 12, it says,
I got one of
there
those.
we go. You see it says net active service period on C, 12C, Zach?
I do.
How long were you serving?
3 years, 2 months, 7 days.
And then Corey, in box 13, can you bring that up for me? What are these, Zach?
Those are the various awards that I got in the Navy.
Okay, so Good Conduct Medal, Overseas Service Ribbon. What is an Expert Pistol Marksmanship Ribbon?
That's the highest award they give for marksmanship with a pistol.
And what is the Expert Rifle Marksmanship Ribbon?
It's the same for rifle.
Good with guns?
I got one of those.
Can you, Corey, on box 24, yeah, right there, character of service. Is that the discharge you're talking about?
That's right, honorable discharge.
Okay, and then Corey, in line 28, it says narrative reason for separation. What's written there, Zach?
Disability.
Is this the back injury you're talking about?
It is.
Corey, can we go to page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the PDF? And there we go. And then in category 1, condition 1, can you bring that up for us?
I gotta go see what she wants.
Zach,
Went into her room and laid down, and then came back out.
I'll
be back.
Disease without
Thanks for your patience.
exacerbated by injury while on active duty. See that?
That's right.
Is that the injury you were talking about?
It is.
And then, Corey, can you go down to 12, 13B, get that whole final paragraph? There we go. And it says additional findings. Zach, can you read for the jury the additional findings?
Sure. The disability may be permanent.
13A.
The disability was the direct result of a combat-related injury as defined by Title 26 U.S. Code, Section 104B3.
And then the final one, the board finds further that, can you keep going, Zach?
Sure. The board finds further that the disability was incurred in the line of duty under conditions simulating war.
And then Corey, that last page for me. And can you highlight the doctor's writing? And that's, yeah, right there, that second line. I'm gonna do this one for you also, Zach. Hellweek had both dropped on his head. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, Corey, can you take that down for us? Did you complete your studies?
I did.
And what did you end up majoring in?
History. Got a history degree.
And so you got a bachelor's from Palm Beach Atlantic.
That's correct.
Did you?
Mom, she's not a cupcake. She's a Swiss cake roll. FYI, it's her new favorite snack.
End your education there?
No, I didn't.
What school did you go to next?
Florida State University.
Seminole?
I am.
And
Cool.
Did you complete your studies there?
I did. I got a master's degree in international affairs with a focus in Arabic language.
And is that all you did during that time period?
No,
What do you mean, is that all you did? I know what he's getting at by that question, but like, damn, is that all you did? Was get a master's in international affairs with, a focus on Arabic, the language that I cannot seem to understand no matter how hard I try.
I was also doing some contract work because of the training that I had in the Navy that was related to special warfare. I was a great candidate for private military consulting. Kyle mentioned the company Blackwater. They used to be pretty well known. The name's changed over the years. They were really the first of its kind. And I started doing work for Blackwater.
How were you able to work for Blackwater given your injuries?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, sorry. How were you able to work for Blackwater given the injuries that you sustained?
Well, I'd had more time. This is a couple of years. I went back to Palm Beach Atlantic, and I never stopped rehabilitating myself and continued working through my injuries, keeping my body strong. And I did make a lot of improvements to the point where I could pass the assessment for Blackwater, which was rigorous, and go through their training program. They have their own training involving lots of shooting, driving, tactical driving, off-road driving, combat, first aid, land navigation, signaling, lots of different skills that you need to help them.
Why did you want to serve in Blackwater?
Well, I wanted to keep serving my country even though I wasn't in the Navy. And Blackwater at the time had a very vital role protecting U.S. personnel, primarily State Department and other government agencies that had people in places like Afghanistan and even some places where we weren't supposed to have government people, like Pakistan.
And was your life at risk in these situations?
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Where were you deployed?
I did several tours in Afghanistan and also Pakistan.
Um, I've heard folks sometimes describe this as mercenary. Are you a mercenary, Zach?
No, I'm not a mercenary, and I don't like the term.
Why not?
Because a mercenary is a hired gun. A mercenary is somebody who will work for anyone for money. And that's not what I was doing, and that's not what I am today.
What were you
Take
doing?
offense at the term.
What were you doing, Zach?
I was serving my country in a commercial capacity, doing a very important job that the government wasn't able to do.
Would you take any job, Zach?
No, I wouldn't take any job.
What were the job? What was the or where'd you draw the line? What kind of job would you take?
My core beliefs are that the world's a big place, and the U.S. government and the military has limited capacity to do all the things that we need to do. So there's a very, very strong dependence on military contractors to augment those things that the U.S. can't do. These are things that are in the interest of U.S. national security. That's always been very important to me. And at this time, I had a bigger vision of, the real importance it is that we take care of our allies, countries that we are partners with, and help them do things that they can't do.
So, excuse me, Zach, you spent time in Afghanistan. Did you have an opportunity to learn about Afghanistan there?
I did.
What did you learn about?
Learned about the geography, the culture, traditions, tribal traditions, ethnic traditions, on a pretty deep level.
The jury's already heard this case is going to involve evacuations from Afghanistan. Did that knowledge help you later?
Absolutely.
So, what was next for you professionally, Zach?
Well, so while I was this tour, I was in Pakistan doing security,
Bye.
protecting people from bad guys
See you.
for a government agency, and that particular agency took an interest in me, and I think saw that I had potential for doing more than protective services for their personnel. So they reached out to me, and I started the recruitment process for that agency.
And how was that recruitment process?
Rigorous and long and thorough. It took about 2 years and involved, I think Kyle mentioned some of it, very, very rigorous personality assessment, lots of role playing, interviews with very seasoned officers, interviews with psychiatrists, numerous polygraph tests, security clearance, or a top secret clearance, the highest form of top secret clearance, where they contact everyone that has any connection to me, every professor, every friend, every neighbor, and they don't have to stop there. They want to get additional contacts through them. They want to talk to your ex-girlfriend. They want to try to find people that have anything that's bad about you, and that took some time to do.
Can you tell me what agency it was?
I can't, because I still have an obligation to that agency to keep secrets.
Is there a term you use to describe that? Is the information classified?
I believe the information is classified, but it's a confusing area for me.
Can you talk about your work while you were with this agency?
No, I can't talk about my work for sure.
Was it more than one agency or just one agency?
It was one agency.
All right, so then, so we don't get confused, I'm just going to refer to it as the agency, okay? Can you say anything about what you did on a super high level?
So it involved doing overt missions.
Objection.
Your Honor, you answered the question, deposition.
Yeah, the transcript.
Throughout the deposition, he refused to answer these questions. In multiple ways.
It's just a misrepresentation. Show us the refused to answer question. Sorry, Your Honor.
We're not going to go back into it and argue.
I'll pull up the good section.
I'll sustain the objection for now. We can address this again.
Okay.
I can rephrase it. If that's helpful.
Okay, Mr. Zach. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what the extent of his
can we come to sidebar for just 1 minute, Your Honor?
I boomered it. I muted myself when she came in here to get her water because I yelled her name and I forgot to unmute myself. So yeah, this guy is suing CNN over a story that they ran in 2021. And their CNN is going to be like J Hatch. They're going to object to everything. They're going to put up a fight wherever they can. They're going to be assholes, just like they were to Maya and Maya's family. And speaking of the Maya Kowalski trial, there was the appellate brief today, or the appellate hearing in the Second District Court of Appeals in Florida. I finally learned how to before we get back to this, I finally learned how to look up appellate appeal documents in the Florida's appeals system. I figured it out. I finally got somewhat intelligent. I was going to stream the hearing. FlashFan even sent it to me, and it if you know, you know. If you know why I didn't stream it, you know why I didn't stream it. Like, it's whatever. It's they basically said that he was working for a black market, or on the black market, charging people to get out of Afghanistan in 2021, which is not what he was doing. But, it's, we're here. Hey, Roy, hope everything is good. Hope the wife is good. And this, everybody who knows me knows I hate CNN. I hate CNN more than anything. I hate mainstream media, but I really, really hate CNN. Yep, defamation. And spoiler alert, one of the reasons that we are watching this is CNN gets their ass kicked. This is a jury trial. This is not a bench trial. This is a jury trial. So we will get back to it.
Zach, during opening, Mr. Ashcroft mentioned an apology. Do you recall that?
I recall him mentioning it, yeah.
Did Mr. Tapper deliver that apology?
No, he never did.
Okay, so let me jump back into your background. Did you ever leave the agency?
Yes, I did.
And why did you leave the agency?
I can't talk about it, but I wanted to do. Part of the reason was I never planned to stay there forever, and I saw that there's lots of other ways that I can continue serving my country and doing things that the government can't do, including the agency.
I understand. I'm going to take lunch at 12 or 12:30 or 1?
Well, somewhere around 12. I wasn't going to cut you off, but
I'm
got a good breaking point.
Yeah, I'm about to transition from the agency to private corporate work.
All right, that's fine. Then let's go ahead and take our lunch break. Let's take a break till 1:15.
Fine with us.
That would give us an opportunity for us to talk about the other things we need to do.
And
All right,
they are
go
going to
ahead and
argue.
Put your notepads in the folders there, and when you leave here, just leave them on your chairs. And before we break, let me give you that instruction. We're going to take our lunch recess. Remember, all the rules I've given you apply even when you're outside the courtroom, such as at recess. Remember the basic rule: do not talk to anyone, including your fellow jurors, friends, family, or coworkers, about anything having to do with this trial, except court staff. This means no emailing, text messaging, tweeting, blogging, or other form of communication. You cannot do any research about the case or look up any information about the case. Remember to observe during our recess the other rules I gave you. If you become aware of any violation of any of these rules at all, notify court personnel of the violation. After when we come back from lunch, please double check, make sure your cell phone or electronic device is turned off. We'll have you reassemble in that jury lounge outside of here at 1:15. Any questions or anything? All right, then we'll see you back here at 1:15.
And of course, as usual, I skipped
Let's
through
deal with the
Aurelia.
issue on the photos. We saw.
Sorry, we sent a revised list of pictures to CNN, so just give me a ruling.
CNN is objecting to even the pictures.
Well, I appreciate that.
Even a picture of him and his
Before or
dog.
not.
I just saw here. I just meant you told me.
Well, I was going to ask you, we've got 3 photographs that you laid a foundation of asking Mr. Young about. I think yesterday we were talking about somewhere on the order of like 16 or so.
23.
How many are we dealing with total now with your revised list?
I don't remember the car list. Give me 1 minute. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, CNN is petty AF, which I am too, but like,
Is it all right if Corey just puts on the screen for you?
Well,
These
I'm just
people
wondering
are why
how many
I'm
more of
petty.
these We're going to have to go through. And I guess all of these are being laid through Mr. Young as the witness.
Yes,
The witness.
There are 8 in total.
8 total? Okay. What are the other 5?
Some of the pictures of his lifespan.
Okay. And the objection that you're raising is they weren't produced previously other than until last week some point in time?
I mean, there's multiple, Your Honor. That's the first one. I mean, generally evidence is produced in deposition, so I could ask Mr. Young about it, and I could follow up.
God, I hate this freaking lawyer.
We could use those exhibits to integrate them into our case presentation. I obviously can't do that now. And I mean, and Your Honor, I thank you for the potential opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Young on those now, but I don't think that that's fair relief. If I had them back then, I could have done other stuff. I can't do it now. But the other objection is, it's a pure sympathy play. Showing him as a kid wearing kid clothes and showing a dog,
So
I think is irrelevant. I think it's prejudicial. I think that the jury instructions which you just read to the jury said you shouldn't decide this case based on sympathy. This is a pure sympathy play. I don't think we need to have the cross-examination. I just don't think they should come in.
if you didn't do anything wrong, then why do you have a problem with it? If CNN didn't royally fuck up, then why do you have a problem with it? Because if y'all didn't do anything wrong, the jury should see that with the evidence, right? And you're objecting to a picture of a dog? Seems sus, huh?
We
All
don't.
right, well, let me ask you a question. Say you got these photographs a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you asked him about it. He says, yeah, that's my wife. That's my dog. That's me as a kid. And I always wanted to be in the Navy because I dressed up as a Navy guy when I was going out trick-or-treating when I was 5 years old or whatever. And now they moved him into evidence. What would be the objection to that?
Well, if I had them then, the objection is that when you take that position, obviously you're locking someone in. And as we're going to find with Mr. Young, maybe tomorrow, is that stories change, right? If I had the opportunity to ask about the questions, or previous counsel did, he would have been locked into a story, such that when things change with the shifting stands of how Mr. Friedman wants to present his case, you have the ability to impeach. I don't have the ability to impeach now based on shifting sands. So that's part of the problem.
Shut the fuck up.
The other problem is, I suspect that Mr. Young's going to talk about his debilitating relationships based on what's happening with the CNN publications, and then use the pictures as kind of an emotional backstop to those arguments. Based on those arguments,
The pictures aren't an emotional backstop. The pictures are to establish who you fucked up the relationship with. Just a thought. Just my thought process but the fact that I go into this completely knowing the result, and also knowing that I hate fucking CNN and everybody who works there and everybody who thinks of working there and 95% of the people who watch CNN. So there's that.
based on that testimony, if he had made those in the deposition, we would have had the opportunity to see if there was evidence that we needed to go get. If he told us in the deposition, well, this is my mom, now my relationship with my mother is fractured, well, maybe we would have gone and taken her deposition. I don't know. I'm speculating here because
Stop speculating, you asshole. God dang nabbit. These, maybe this, maybe that, maybe I'm speculating. Stop fucking speculating. You're in a goddamn court. Sorry, Flashman.
the evidence was not turned over in a timely manner. So I don't know what we would have done. But you have a credibility issue and you've got a discovery issue.
You're a credibility issue. Have you looked at the people you work for?
Right.
Have you looked at the
Anything else?
account?
Yeah, I mean, you saw what we do with pictures. It's, we were going to show it to the jury, move on. This is great, horrible, just simply not happening. It's, the court said yesterday, this is standard. People, there's no discovery request that calls for pictures intended to show a trial. And finally, Your Honor,
Right, but my order said, give them these 15 days before trial.
the order does say to exchange exhibits, Your Honor. We did list on the exhibit list pictures of Mr. Young. I understand we did not give them, but Your Honor, there was bilateral. The way the parties did it was we just didn't exchange. Now, maybe we both violated the order and it was inadvertent, I promise. We didn't intend to violate it, but it wasn't like we were holding these back. And Judge, I'd add one more thing. When we left here yesterday, I don't have a transcript in front of me, but I was under the distinct impression that you were going to allow Mr. Axelrod to voir dire Mr. Young on him and then let me put him up. If you
I said I'd allow him to voir dire him. I didn't say I was going to admit him after he voir dires him.
well, assuming I laid it's agreed, but maybe I misunderstood, Judge. I will tell you how I understood it. I walked out of here yesterday thinking, maybe, and you could understand it from the thing I said a minute ago, which is that he had the floor. I would never presume to take over. My understanding was that the process was going to be Mr. Axelrod had an opportunity to talk to him about it, and then as long as I laid the foundation, you would let them in if I did it right. Maybe I misunderstood you, but that's how I walked out of here. If I knew that it was still not, if that was not the case, I wouldn't even try to show him until you had ruled on the issue. But I did ask if we could do it first, and you said no, lay the foundation this way, and it just, be pretty prejudicial now that we've kind of teased the pictures to not be able to show them. So, if you're inclined not to allow any more of them, then I would ask at least the ones we've already talked about, show them. I won't say anything more beyond, is this a picture we looked at? Was this a picture we looked at? Was this a picture we looked at? And that's it.
All right, well, first off, the argument of we've teased him and now we got to show him to him. Let's deal with that issue first. What did I mean, even getting to what your interpretation of my thing was that he was going to have the opportunity to voir dire him on. You threw him up there before he ever had the opportunity to voir dire. So to say that I'm keeping him out and teasing him and that's creating an issue here, I'm offended by that argument because you chose to throw him up before Mr. Axelrod had an opportunity to voir dire. Secondly, I suggested that as a way, if the issue is prejudice, to allow him to mitigate any prejudice by at least getting some information about those because they weren't produced previously, weren't produced timely, weren't produced in accordance with my court order in this case. Unfortunately, the law doesn't necessarily say, well, the court order says one thing, you got to stick to it because there's some other law dealing with prejudice issues. Anything else, Mr. Friedman? Anyone?
Just that I apologize, Your Honor. I didn't mean to offend.
Anything else?
I think
Mr.
he's
Axelrod?
fair, but
No,
I'm
you're
not a
All right,
fan.
when we get back from lunch, I'll make a ruling about how we're going to handle the photographs, whether we're going to voir dire. What are the other photographs that we have beyond these three that we showed?
It's one or two with his wife and one with his mother.
That's three more. That gets us to six. What are the other two?
Second, Your Honor, we pulled them up. It's all right.
I hate Axelrod. I hate
One with his
that
wife, two with his
mofo.
wife,
Like,
three with his wife.
if he were on fire, I
One
wouldn't
Mr.
piss
Young,
on him to
Moscow.
put him out kind of person. He reminds me of my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And yes, I meant that as she's
Well, we'll
masculine
back to
and he's
lunch.
feminine.
Anything else, Mr. Freeman, before we break?
We can deal with it when we come back from lunch, but Your Honor, we filed a motion for sanctions this morning, really early in the morning, and it relates to documents and questions we'd like to pose to Mr. Young. So, I'm sure the court, I just forgot about the voir dire thing, and then I just saw the pictures in my outline. I didn't know what to do at that point, and I apologize for that, but we're trying to avoid that again.
All right. Do you have a copy of the motion for sanctions because it hasn't been processed and posted yet?
Your Honor, I don't think you actually hear it as Mr. Friedman represented you before. Mr. Sanford and I agreed with Mr. Friedman that he could show Mr. Young the exhibit that they proposed. So from an evidentiary standpoint, I don't know that there's an issue.
There are
I don't even know what is it pertaining to.
So, Your Honor, we don't have a printed copy. We could email it to you. I think we did email it to Brittany early this morning, but obviously not a lot of time.
Hang on, see if I got an email. All right, I've got it.
I like this judge, but at the same time, I'm like, just make a fucking decision.
Just dealing with the teaser before going to commercial.
Your Honor, it deals with three videos.
We're going to
One of them
commercial.
is a
Yours
teaser
is
before
on
my death.
TV.
All three might be, but there are three separate videos, two from Jake Tapper, one from Mr. Costa, none of which were produced by CNN in Discovery. And when we requested them, CNN told us to jump in a lake because Discovery had been closed. And one of them we didn't even figure out until
Oh, those who live in glass houses shall not throw stones. You were bitching that you didn't get those pictures until last week. Well, guess what? They asked for documents in Discovery that you didn't even give. Oh, holy fuck, CNN. Go suck a dick.
yesterday when Fox News ran a story that quoted from a segment. CNN never produced it to us. It took our associates a few hours to locate it, and we found it. These are highly, highly evident. I mean, these are clips where Jake Tapper says, preying on Afghans, desperate, people making them pay big money to pay up. And I can't do his inflections, Judge, but if you watch the videos, he doesn't just say pray, he goes preying on Afghans. And, we asked for two forms of relief. One is to get them admitted, which is resolved. I think, we'd want, first of all three. Are all three stipulated into evidence? I don't know. I know they for one this morning, they talked about. And the second form of relief is to advise the jury that they failed to comply with the discovery obligations to turn over these videos. And later in the deposition, I intended to ask Mr. Young whether CNN turned these videos over to him. And I don't want to do that without first ensuring you had an opportunity to say whether that's all right.
All right, so as for the three videos, is there an issue about them being exhibits at the trial?
There are not. And I dispute everything else Mr. Friedman said.
All right, So the first part of your relief you're asking for is permitted to add the withheld videos.
They weren't withheld.
That's agreed to. All right. The second part of his relief is to inform the jury that CNN failed to produce the videos, or in the alternative, to allow him to question CNN employees on the failure to produce them.
No way, Your Honor. So let's talk about the first teaser and the Max Foster. Those transcripts were produced, and you can see the teasers in the transcripts. They had those, I wasn't part of the case, they had those years ago, and they could have asked for the video at any time. They never did. In fact, they had them because they added them to the exhibit list, and we didn't dispute them. We didn't object. Those are two. Now, last night at 1 o'clock, we get a motion for sanctions. We never heard of it before, but what they found, it was news to us too, is they found that the Tapper lead plays at 5:30. And like at the end of the 4 o'clock hour, Mr. Tapper does, I guess what's called the tease to the segment in the 4 o'clock hour. It was news to CNN. It was, of course, news to plaintiffs because it wasn't in their complaint. It wasn't in anything. So it makes sense that CNN didn't know about it because Young didn't know about it. Young's attorneys didn't know about it. How can you sue on something you didn't know about? But so what I did when I got the sanctions motion is I went on CNN's transcript website, and you go on, you can look at the it's all public. I went on my computer, and you find the 4 o'clock transcript, and there are the keys. And so, yeah, it was inadvertent that we didn't produce it. I'm not sure there's a discovery request specifically for it, but it was inadvertent. It certainly wasn't intentional. And then when Mr. Friedman says, when he discovered it yesterday, we discovered it today when he informed us about it. Mr. Sandberg and I said, fine, here's the video. We have no problem with it. There's nothing to see here. So why would CNN hide something that was publicly available on CNN's website? We just didn't know about it.
CNN is just shitty all the way around. All the way around.
And one more point.
What would be the issue? What would be the issue of questioning CNN, whether it's Mr. Levine as a corporate rep or whomever, of saying, did you produce these earlier? Or you didn't produce them until last night or whenever? What would be the issue about asking a question about the late production or inadvertent, as you say, inadvertent lack of production earlier?
But Your Honor, I don't see the relevance. I mean, if you were going to find that we did something intentional, then I think that perhaps
You did do something intentional because they asked for it and you told them to go jump in a lake.
If it was in the complaint, we would have
I can only imagine.
Mr. Friedman had said at any point, hey, there's another key.
I can only imagine what the non-court appropriate version of go jump in a lake actually was said by CNN, because I don't see these people being very nice. The problem is these motherfuckers have the same attitude that I do. They don't give a shit about anybody. The downside is I actually give a shit about people until they give me a reason not to. Like, I just stopped giving a shit about a whole fuckload of people today. So, yeah.
These we know about. Will you produce it? We would have gone back and looked for it. We didn't know about it. So I don't understand what the potential relevance could be. If Mr. Young is going to testify that he knew about it 6 months ago.
Sir Frank Otter, my mother-in-law had to be reminded that she's not Baby Squid's mom. Multiple times. I did a whole stream on this. I will do another members only stream on my in-law issue. And we will bring in Mama Squid as a guest star on that one, and she can tell stories too. That will be a members only spill the tea. I've done it before, but I have a whole bunch of new members that deserve to know that tea because it is fucking hilarious.
And then you sent an email to CNN and they didn't produce it, then that would be relevant. But it's not. I'm guessing that you found out about it yesterday too. So I don't know what the potential relevance is claiming there's
Potential relevance is you're an asshole.
issue here.
And I'm in a bad mood.
By the way, all this is a very transparent attempt to create some fake equivalency from this plaintiff who purposely destroyed documents to what CNN did. And there's no equivalency. We have on a public website, there's a transcript from 4 to 5 o'clock. And if you knew what you were looking for, you could have found it. We just didn't know it was there. Nor did they.
I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland. I mean, CNN didn't know about its own videos. It's news to CNN that they created these videos. We are at fault for not realizing that they failed to comply with basic discovery obligations. We shouldn't have to audit CNN's websites or its transcripts to make sure that they're complying with basic discovery requests. We're talking about the very segmented issue in this case. I don't understand how Mr. Axelrod gets up and tries to turn around that we did something wrong. They failed to produce the most relevant evidence in this case. Completely failed to do it. And then I'm being told that CNN's failure to provide the most basic and relevant evidence in this case is some fake attempt by plaintiffs to create false equivalency of document destruction. No one said CNN was destroying documents, but it is in our view, he disagrees with everything I said. Really? Ask him.
Yeah, because he's a petty asshole.
If he
It takes one to know one.
the videos to us. Not only that, Ask him if after we realized they were missing, when I sent an email to Mr. Axelrod asking for him to produce them then, he told me no, discovery's over. So if it was inadvertent, why didn't he produce them then? Judge, this is like Alice in Wonderland, what's going on here. Their obligations, their breach, their failure to produce, somehow it's my fault.
We're in Alice in Wonderland. I don't know which character everybody is.
Me neither.
I mean,
I love that this judge at least has a
The-
sense of humor about this shit.
the outrage on both sides. I mean, they have a discovery obligation. You've got a court order obligation, and people are violating it back and forth. Here's what we're
Yeah,
going to do.
because CNN sucks dick.
We've resolved the issue. You want to use these.
That's a fact.
You have the ability to use them. If you want to ask questions of Mr. Young about whether he'd seen these or until he got them yesterday or whatever, I'll allow that. In terms of cross-examination of any CNN witnesses or why you didn't produce it or whatever, I won't allow that. And I'm not going to give an instruction that this was not, that CNN didn't comply. I don't think those questions, I mean, to the extent that you're asking questions to Mr. Young and he can comment about it and he just saw it, I think that may be relevant for the purposes of, I don't know what his responses are going to be and I don't know exactly the area you're going to go, but I'll allow some questioning about that. But in terms of relevancy of trying to throw in front of the jury about whether there was a discovery violation or not, I don't know that that's relevant to the issues on the trial in this case.
We cited a rule civil.
Tammy, you laugh, but there's a reason CNN has been sued for defamation at least 3 times that I know of. And I'm just wondering how many times do we not hear about? Because CNN has been sued for defamation multiple times, and yet they keep doing this fucking shit under the guise of news. No, bitch. No, that's not how it works, you motherfuckers. And you're about to learn. You're about to go fucking bankrupt.
Procedure which permits you to do that. So in terms of relevance, it's relevant if you find that there was a sanction. If you're not sanctioning, then that's obviously true.
That's my ruling. All right. And other point too is if we've got objections, I will look at whomever is objecting. I'm asked a brief explanation of your basis. The other side is not going to jump in, not going to respond, not going to say anything unless I ask the questioning party to respond. It's going to be something that we've got a elongated explanation needs to be given by either side. We'll do it at sidebar, but otherwise we're not going to be jumping up and having an arguing display, A, in front of the jury, or B, on the record in this case, when the questions are done. So let's keep that to a minimum. Well, forget minimum. Let's keep that to a non-existent display in front of the jury. And then I forgot when we were going back to the sidebar there, everybody wait and make sure the court reporter's seated and ready to roll before we start with whether it's a question or whatever it is that we need to do. Okay. Anything else? Right now, Mr. Friedman?
There you are.
Mr. Axelrod?
We'll grab lunch, thank you.
Yeah, all right. We'll be back here so we can get them in right after 1:15.
There's times that I really wish that I could go back to boxing. And when I move, the YMCA has a program for jiu-jitsu, so I can get back into legally hitting people. And I can't wait. I had to dip out. Wife was asking about the Lululemon fit, and I was distracted. Yeah, I bet you were. Has the judge smacked these liberal CNN lawyers around yet, Mr. Axelrod? Mr. Axelrod has a rod up his ass. That's a fact, because you can see by the way he stands. He has a stick up his butt. So they are currently on lunch. We do what we always do and skip through these parts. So I just cannot function with these people. Sorry, I'm on one today, and some of my my anger is directed towards not only the people that I have to deal with tomorrow, because never work with the lender that I worked with this time, and if I ever have to work with her again, I will not be buying a house. Yeah. Oh, I do like this judge. He is a Christopher Robin, but he's fair, but he also has a sense of humor, and he kind of reminds me of the Tuft of Justice a little bit. However, that being said, I think he's giving CNN too much fucking leeway on the bullshit that they're pulling. Because they are, I had no idea that they didn't turn over basic videos of, I don't know, people talking about this on CNN. Like, sorry. I mean, at the same time, the defendant, like, it was on, or the plaintiff, it was on CNN. You should have just went to their fucking YouTube page and looked it up and stole it from YouTube. Because I'm just on one. There's just so much drama going around that I'm just on. I'm on another fucking level with the in real life shit that I'm dealing with right now, and the fucking like online bullshit that I'm like, I got to get this aggression out before I aim this aggression at the people that I'm pissed at. So, yeah. Oh, and there's a reason that I'm streaming right now, because that way I don't have to fucking worry about that shit. So, yeah, there's that too. So we are waiting for them to actually turn the sound back on. So, because they have decided that they didn't want to do it. And I don't know what he is talking to them about.
Had
There we
ill
go.
will, hostility, or an evil intention to defame Zachary Young, or was motivated by a desire to harm Zachary Young. Actual malice means CNN either knew the statements were false or published them with reckless disregard of whether they were false or not. Clear and convincing evidence differs from the greater weight of the evidence in that it is more compelling and persuasive. Clear and convincing evidence is evidence that is precise, explicit, lacking in confusion, and of such.
Oh, and I got this in the mail
produces a
today.
firm belief or conviction without hesitation about the matter in issue. And now that you've heard the law, I want to let you know what you can expect as the trial proceeds. In a few moments, the attorneys will each have a chance to make what are called opening statements. In an opening
And I don't
statement,
know
an attorney is
why-
allowed to give.
Why did this
Can
all of a
comment on
sudden
some
back
of it.
up? We were going to lunch. We were on lunch. And then it went back to right there. And then we were skipping ahead and somehow it backed up. God, I love this fucking computer. Calm down. I don't know how to do that. All I can say is there are reasons I stream by myself. And those books are still upside down. Every other one is upside down. You notice this? His books, every other one is upside down. I wonder why he does that. Is the little actually gonna lay down by herself? She's been sitting up watching stuff. She grabbed the remote. Oh my goodness. Come on, come on. And I'm sorry it backed up. I am not Hey, Gabby. Oh, nope, here she comes. Squid Wrath in chat. I am not. See, when I say I don't play well with others, it's like, this is why. Like, I just don't, like, I don't tolerate bullshit from other people. And I don't tolerate, like, I try to give people credit when they help me with something. And it's just one of those, like, you know. Oh, and this is where it was like, the judge is doing all he needs to do. It's like they forgot to turn back the duck, Gabby. Like, for a relaxing time, try listen to Audible Monster Hunter International by Larry Can't recommend enough. I listen to a relaxation app on my phone every night. But no. Girl,
Uh-oh.
What'd you do?
I got something.
You gotta do something with what? Oh, the car?
Touch it.
Car. What is this? Car. She's from Boston. Car. And this is where it was like, are y'all gonna turn the sound back on? Yeah. She's from Boston.
Properly exclude the testimonial witness whose name has not been disclosed in accordance with the pretrial order. The discretion to do so must not be exercised blindly, however, and should be guided largely by determination as to whether the use of the undisclosed witness will prejudice the objecting party, in this case, the defense. Prejudice in this sense refers to the surprise, in fact, of the objecting party and is not dependent on the adverse nature of the testimony. Basically, at the end of the consideration, the question the court should answer is whether use of the undisclosed witness will not substantially endanger the fairness of the proceeding. The pretrial order The pretrial order mandating disclosure should be modified, and the witness should be allowed to testify. If the court determines that the use of the undisclosed witness will not substantially endanger the fairness of the proceeding, then the court should allow the witness to testify.
Touche.
I think the lack of compliance with the pretrial order in this case is the same as it relates to non-disclosure, non-exchange of the photograph prior to trial, or up until a week ago prior to trial, but was not in accordance with the pretrial order. Mr. Axelrod, you raised some arguments regarding prejudice and your inability to question Mr. Young about those, or that may have changed discovery you would have done in this case. The problem with that prejudicial argument is I didn't hear that there was a discovery request that hadn't been complied with where you asked for those types of things or it would have been disclosed. But had Mr. Friedman provided you the photographs 50 days before the pretrial conference, discovery was closed at that point in time. So questioning Mr. Young about it at a deposition or whatever, or doing additional discovery to go out and do something else or what have you, that wouldn't have been an availability to you at that point in
That's your
time.
bed. That's where you're supposed to be right now.
So how it changes your analysis, I think, otherwise, or what you may have done or what you could have done, I think is completely speculative at this point in time without showing any real great undue prejudice. However, what I'm going to do is I think a number of the photographs where they're duplicative, 1307.8 and 12, I think were two pictures of both him and his wife together, basically the same venue, same location. I think those are kind of duplicative or cumulative. The other inquiry has to be the evidence to be relevant to the issues in the case. So what I'm going to allow you to do under that nature is, once, I know there will, well, I anticipate there will be testimony that relates to his relationship with his wife. He did testify about his dog being his best friend and spending time with the dog now. What I'll allow is one picture of his wife, the one picture of his dog, 307.5. If he wants it to be a photograph of him and his wife together, the 8 and 12, you pick one. That one or 16. I don't know what you intend to have him say about the Moscow picture, other than it's a picture of him in Moscow.
Your Honor, we'll withdraw that one.
All right. And I know he talked about his relationship with his mother. I'll allow the picture of his mother. So that would be 307.18, 307.5. The picture of him in his uniforms and stuff like that, I'll exclude that. Him being a 5-year-old, I don't see the relevance to it. And then he can pick one of the 4 pictures of either his wife alone or him and his wife.
Your Honor, so it's either the one of his wife alone or one of him and his wife together?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so it's one with him and his wife, one with his mother.
His dog, his mother, and him, and then one of either his wife by herself or him and his wife.
Okay.
You get 3. You get 3 out of the 8.
Get through it. Are you willing to entertain an argument on the relevance of the uniforms, or? Very good.
Yep.
Understood.
All right. All right.
Can I have one moment just to make sure I get the right numbers so that I don't mess it up when we get back?
Yeah, I'm giving you 307.5 is the dog.
Okay.
307.18 is the mother.
Okay.
And then pick one of 8, 12, 15, or 16.
Perfect. Thank you.
No.
12.
Oh.
12. All right. And I think that concludes any hanging issues from this morning.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't hold your breath.
Uh-oh.
All
Sorry,
right,
you.
ready to bring the jurors back? Yeah. All right, Mr. Butcher, why don't you come back up here, just so that. Ms. Freeman, do this for me. Just roll that over to the side in front of your table with the cord out of the way so they can walk around without.
Poor Marine, you old.
I think you'll be okay. Yeah,
You
you're
joined the
good.
Marines 4 years after I was born. You old.
Oh.
You old. Oy vey. Apparently, like, I say oy vey. I watched too much Fran Drescher when I was little, but like it's how I try not to cuss when I want to cuss. And somebody asks me in a comment, and I am not offended by this comment, by the way. Like, don't even care. Like, I just found it funny. They were like, "Are you Jewish? Do you say a lot of things that I've never heard anybody who's not Jewish say?" It's like, not even close. I'm barely a Christian, let alone Jewish. But I just thought it was funny because I'm assuming it's the fact that I say oy vey and some other like, yeah. But when I'm trying not to say, things, and I just find it funny. It's oh, that. What do you mean? That's kind of discrimination? Like they were just curious. Like they were just super curious, and it was like I'm not offended, not offended by any means, like not even close. I just found it hilarious. I don't get offended by little things like that. It was a genuine question. It wasn't like oh, that's not offensive. Like it's not a form of discrimination asking what religion you are. I don't see that as a form of discrimination. They were curious because the way I talk, because I say like things that are Yiddish. So it's just funny. I think I just watched too much The Nanny when I was little.
No.
How?
No.
Yep. Okay, let's get back to this. And hey, three awesome dogs. You're officially 3 awesome dogs now. Maybe someday in the next year or so, we'll be 1 awesome dog. 1 awesome dog and a kiddo. Right? Come on, doggy.
No.
No, you don't want a doggy?
No.
Okay.
Mama. Huh? Huh? Huh?
All right, y'all be seated. I hope everybody settle in, get your notepads out. And Mr. Young, I'll remind you, you're still under oath from earlier. And just remind
I'm gonna put you
y'all,
down.
your phones off. If anybody in the gallery, make sure your phones are off silent. They go off. They are subject to being confiscated. Mr. Friedman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, before the break, we had tried to look at some pictures. Judge had to make some rulings. We're back now. So let's go back to some of those pictures we were talking about before. Corey, can you put up on a limited production for us 307.5? Your Honor, based on testimony provided earlier, plaintiffs offer 307.5 evidence.
No objection.
Well, subject to your argument earlier. I'll overrule that and I'll admit 307.5.
All right, can we publish that to the jury? All right. Zach, is this Misha?
That is Misha. Yes.
Where's this picture taken?
Oh, look at the
That was
doggo.
taken in Vienna. He's actually
No.
he was born in
No,
Hungary.
No,
His
no,
father is
no.
from Germany, and he's a show dog. Pretty boy.
He's gorgeous.
And do you know
I will
approximately
be
when the
right
picture
back.
was taken?
Mama duties.
5 years ago, about 5 years ago,
So it would have been 2020 or so?
Yep.
Okay. Before or after the CNN broadcast?
before.
Can we, Mr. Hank, can we go back to the limited production and can we get 307.18 up? Oh, okay, there we go. All right, Mr. Zach, what are we looking at?
That is a picture of me and my mom.
You talked about your mother earlier. Your Honor, plaintiffs offer 307.18 into evidence.
Subject to your same objection, I'll overrule that. I'll bid 307.18.
Thank you, Mr. Hank. Can we go to the jury, please? And about how old are you here, Zach?
It's hard to tell, but it was quite a while ago. I look a lot younger.
Is this pre or post Navy?
This is post Navy.
Okay. And Corey, it's a little dark for me. Can you zoom in a little bit so we can take a look? There we go. Do you know where you are, Zach?
That is in Colorado Springs, where she still lives.
And how old did you say she is now?
Now she's 75. She looks a bit older now, but she still gets around.
All right. Thank you, Corey. And then, Mr. Young, we go back to limited production. And can I get 307.12 up, Corey? What are we looking at, Mr. Young?
That's a picture of my wife and I.
Okay. Talked about it earlier.
I did.
What is her first name?
Irina is her name.
And, Your Honor, plaintiff's offer 307.12 entitled.
Subject to your same objection.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
I'll overrule the objection. I'll admit 307-12.
Right, Mr. Hagan, can we go? to the
Keep
jury?
it mad.
Is this Arena?
That's her.
Where are you guys?
We're in a place called the Wienerwald, or the Wild Woods in Vienna.
And do you know approximately the date this was taken?
Sometime in 2019.
Okay. Pre or post CNN publication?
Pre.
And have you had another walk like this?
No, that's the last time we've been there.
The picture of your mom and you, I didn't ask this, but pre or post CNN publication?
Pre.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Young. Corey, can we take it down? You don't have to forgive me. I'm going to go back and forth because I'm used to
Okay.
it. All right. We left off, you had left the agency. And I want you to talk now, just so you know where we're going, I want you to talk now about what you did when you left, okay? So what was the first non-government job you did when you left the agency?
So the first non-government job was working for a local company in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. They're a very, very close ally to the U.S. We work together all the time. We provide them with a lot of support. And I was doing this for the first time in a commercial context, which was all new to me and very interesting.
And maybe I missed it. Did you say the name of the company you were working for?
It's called Near East Consultants. It's a boutique consulting company, geopolitical consulting, intelligence, and security.
How did you get connected with Near East Consultants?
An agency chief of station, which is the highest ranking representative of the U.S. government active, referred me to a contact in this company. And they only hire people like me.
And when you were working for them, what exactly were you doing for them?
We did various work, but some of the more memorable involved providing very, very specialized training to Emirati special forces.
And is there a name for that type of training?
Yes, it's a SEER training, urban SEER. So this is survive, evade, resist, and escape. And this is really specialized because it's designed to prepare somebody, a solo operator, that's in a failed state environment or in an active war zone, how they can survive and basically get out of the place alive, evacuate, if you will.
What was your role in providing this training?
I built the training because I have significant experience in that from the U.S. government, from Blackwater, from the Navy, and I integrated all this for a deliverable for the Emirati client.
And you talked about how it's important to you to be a U.S. ally, but can you put a little bit more color on that? Why is it good for the allies to have this sort of training?
I talked about that a bit earlier. So the U.S. government has limitations in how much support that we can provide directly. So they rely a lot on defense contractors, and everybody knows the big ones: Boeing, Lockheed Martin. We do aircrafts, munitions, all sorts of ballistic support. But this was much more refined. It was really my first experience in what was becoming a very new market focused on the intelligence space. That's something that hadn't been done before. It's on a very, very small scale.
And did you ever do any kind of evacuation work for Near East Consultants?
I did. So this was operational as opposed to training. There was a case where we had a client. I don't know who the client was. Need to know. I didn't need to know. But they had two other people who were British nationals who were being unlawfully held in India, in Mumbai. So I went to Mumbai by myself and put together a very sophisticated operational plan to get them out.
Why were you able to go to Mumbai? But you had mentioned earlier, we had heard from Mr. Roche, there could be problems going to certain areas. Do you recall that? I think you mentioned you might stick out like a sore thumb in certain areas.
Well, certainly I stuck out like a sore thumb in Mumbai. A 6 foot tall white guy with red hair and blue eyes. I didn't blend in. But at the time, it wasn't really necessary for me to blend in because Mumbai is actually a very bustling capital with lots of expats, lots of international people. So I didn't stand out doing what I was doing, which was just putting together the plan. We call it casing, and putting together the logistics of what was required to actually execute an evacuation.
Did that evacuation for Near East Consultants, did it actually go through?
No, it didn't. And I don't know the reasons why. The client decided to abort, and I never had any feedback beyond that.
Is that common in evacuations?
I wouldn't say that it's common, but it happens. And, like I said earlier, you have to be flexible. And that was it.
Okay, so when you were done working with Near East, or maybe, what did you do next? Let me put it that way.
Sure. So the next thing I did, about the same time period, I wanted to continue to develop this professional network outside of the government with that strong
She's
U.S.
crying.
relationship.
I will be right
U.S.
back
government
again.
relationship. So I did some work for a company that had a project
Okay,
in
hon?
Malta this time.
It's okay.
This is
I
this
put
company
the
called
stream
Frontier
on the
Services Group.
TV
If
in
anyone's
her
ever heard
room
of,
thinking it might help, but it didn't.
Blackwater. The same people were involved in Frontier Services as Blackwater. And this was a little different, though. This was focused on developing a private air charter service in North Africa, primarily in Libya. We did a lot of traditional charter work back and forth between Europe and Africa, North Africa. But we also did a lot of evacuation work, medical evacuations from Libya.
And what was your role in these evacuations? Are you a doctor?
Well, I was directing those types of operations, but I was also physically going into Libya and providing various services, including security for the movement.
Can you talk about all the work you did for Frontier Services Group?
Not all of it. Some of it is classified for the U.S. government.
Say goodnight to
Okay,
Nana.
so after Near East and Frontier, what was next?
The next one, so this is a common theme. I wanted to keep on building this network out. And the UAE is just a very, very active place for this kind of support from various companies. And this time I went back for a company called Arrow. There's no significance to the name, but the significance was the type of training that we were delivering to the Emirati SSD, which is it's an acronym for the State Security Directorate. And they're like a combination between our CIA and FBI, internal and external service.
Okay, before I get into what you did for Arrow, tell me a little bit more about Arrow. Are they still called Arrow?
No.
No, I mean, that was a while ago. And I haven't tracked the development of the company, but it's turned into a giant defense contractor in the Emirates. In fact, I believe it's the largest one.
And what's its name now?
That's the name of that one.
Is it Beacon Red?
Beacon Red, that's right. It's slipping my mind. Beacon Red, it's the largest there.
How did you meet the folks at Arrow?
I mentioned that the same, my network from the U.S. government, it's all referral based. There's no application online, no monster.com, some place to apply online and send a resume. It doesn't work that way. This is a very, very close-knit network, and it's word of mouth. They have to know you personally, they have to have worked with you, they have to trust you.
Was this also a station chief?
Yes, it was. Well, sorry, I'd like to rephrase that. He has served as a station chief, but his background was a little bit different. We call it a NOC, stands for non-officially covered officer, and I can explain what that is if it's helpful. So in that agency, you have typically the people that go out and collect information, human intelligence, we call it. They're called operations officers, and they go overseas and they pretend to be diplomats. They typically pretend to be State Department. So they're still official representatives of the U.S. government, but they don't really work at the State Department. And that's the vast majority of what they do overseas is that model. But there's some places where if I show up and to some conference in, we'll say, Dubai, a nuclear conference, and I say, hi, I'm Zach. I'm with the U.S. government from the State Department, and I'm introducing myself to an Iranian scientist who's involved in their ballistic missile program, who's there for the conference. They're going to run away. And it doesn't matter what part of the U.S. government you're from, you're the U.S. government. So the non-official cover is a way more sensitive and very small part of that group. And these are the people that have the most advanced training beyond what an operations officer gets. Because NOCs have to be able to operate effectively by themselves in areas that are especially challenging. They're called denied areas. These are places like Iran, North Korea, China, Russia. These are places where you show up as somebody from the State Department, you're going to have some problems. So we have to have more advanced training, more advanced, we call it cover, and that's what a NOC is.
And so was it not that introduced you to Arrow?
It was.
And talk to me, what did you do at Arrow?
Arrow, we were the same types of training, but a lot more of it. We did it for the Special Forces, and we also did it for SSD. It was basically rebuilding their entire operational platform for their case officers, their versions of an operation officer. It involved a lot of client interaction, working with them daily to see how they perform, how effective they are, and then rolling out training to help them get better and become better partners for the U.S. the whole idea
She's
behind
like
this is
Mama. She throws shit when
uh,
she gets mad.
we want to help our partners, not our
You over
adversaries.
here throwing all of her
Partners that we
toys.
have common adversaries with. In this case, we're talking about the UAE. The bad guys are Iran. They're our counterbalance, part of our counterbalance to Iran in the region. Iran is a very, very big adversary of the U.S. So we're trying to act as a force multiplier, but like in a commercial context, to help them operate better, safer, and more closely aligned with our values so they can be better partners for us. And it's a great relationship.
And while you're in Arrow, well, let me ask a different question. Did you meet someone called Mark Sullivan?
I did. I met Mark Sullivan while I was at Arrow. He was also part of that project.
And did you work with him?
I did. I worked with him, and we had a very good relationship. And Mark was he was very impressed with what I brought to the table.
Objection. Foundation, hearsay.
What did you do after Arrow?
After Arrow, Mr. Sullivan, who was a very, very senior and well-regarded, highly regarded officer in an agency, introduced me to one of his contacts named John Keeley.
And who is John Keeley?
John Keeley is another former senior executive at a U.S. government agency who I can't speak for Mr. Keeley, but my impression was trusted him immensely. And that's essential in order to meet someone like Mr. Keeley and have any kind of credibility. You have to be recommended by someone else from the network. So that's how that happened.
And are you able to talk about which agency Mr. Keeley worked for?
I cannot because it's classified.
Did Mr. Keeley have any connections abroad?
He did, and that was really the purpose of Mr. Sullivan introducing me to Mr. Keeley. Mr. Keeley had served in very, very senior, in fact, the most senior positions in Saudi Arabia for many years. So he had very good relationships there up to the highest levels, including the Crown Prince, which is the highest official in the country.
So once you were introduced to Mr. Keeley by Mr. Sullivan, what did you do with Mr. Keeley?
Mr. Keeley was very, very senior. I don't know how many years he'd been working for the government, but it was many. And he had the same feelings that there's a lot we can do to help our friends.
Objection. Foundation, speculation. Hearsay.
Fucking CNN, shut up.
Sustained objection.
The little
Can't
one
talk
back
about
to
what
the
other
room.
folks said to you. So, okay. I don't know if you want to rephrase the question.
Yeah,
I can move on to a different
It's
question.
CNN.
Can we see it briefly at sidebar? I think there's a reason that it.
All right.
Yeah.
Taz, I'm glad you're here. Yep, she went back to lay down. She has her pad, her ice pack, because she likes to carry around an ice pack or a piece of ice. And then her TV is on, and I have this trial. I have this stream on her TV, so she can literally see me. So I'm hoping that helps, because we need to work on going to bed without somebody always being right there, because she's getting to that point. So she's getting to that point where she can probably go to bed without somebody like having a hand on her. She just doesn't like to. So I'm kind of forcing the issue, which is, it's hurting my mama heart not to snuggle her to bed. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to be able to do that for the rest of her life. And we need to, one of us is always there. So it's not like we're not there. But we're moving into a new house, so we need to work on the going to sleep sort of on our own. Poor girl. Wait till you have to tell her to be home by 9.
Hang on.
Oh, yep. Sorry.
That's going to be so hard. That'll be her dad, because I won't be able to say things like that. Because she'll look at me, she'll give me one look, and it'll be like, okay, not 9 o'clock, it's 10. Yeah, I'm never with CNN either. They just irk me in the worst way. I just can't. It's so hard to explain how, like, everything they do just gets under your skin. Like, them existing just makes me angry. Well, it doesn't make me angry, but it's just like, you look at them and you're like, why are you even here? Go away. I know that this
Wait,
guy
wait
won.
for
I just don't know how much he won. But CNN is going to be petty and object to everything. Because
I got a question from the jurors. And what I was going to say is, if there are questions for the witness, hold the questions. It looks like it's a question for the witness, so just hold the question until the end when the witness gets done testifying. You can keep a running list of whatever your questions may be, and then submit those at the end of the witness's testimony, and I'll ask y'all to submit those at that point. Okay. But otherwise,
all right, so there will be witness question or jury questions, which I love. I love Florida does that. Not every county in Florida does that, but I'm glad that in federal court in Florida they do that. What's the difference between CNN and the Titanic? The Titanic had all of its anchors when it sank. Apparently, CNN is worth half of the amount that it was in 2021. So there's that. That makes me happy. The mainstream media going under makes me happy.
I'll give this for right now. I'm going to give this to the clerk, but whoever submitted it, go ahead and keep a running list of your questions, and we'll hold until the end. Okay. right,
Flash fan Maya Kowalski did
Sorry,
that.
Zach, we're talking about Mr. Keeley.
Yep.
Why were you brought in by Mr. Keeley?
I was brought in because of my experience in developing and delivering and training in these areas that I knew that he was interested in.
And what were the areas you were working on with him? What was that area he was interested in?
So it's something that developed over time, and that's why it was necessary for me to be part of that. Mr. Keeley was involved in very high-level discussions in Saudi Arabia. He knew, I can't speak for him, won't speak for him. We all know, because we've been in the space for a long time, the Saudis are one of our most important allies in the region. They have a bad reputation sometimes, but they are definitely one of our most critical allies in the region. They are a significant part of the counterbalance to Iran, which is one of our biggest enemies. It's a fact. We've been working together with the Saudis, the government, for many, many years, usually in more traditional areas, giving them aircraft, equipment, weapons, aircraft, munitions, many decades. So this is not new in terms of the requirement to support our allies, like Saudi Arabia. But what John had in mind, what I had in mind, was helping people like John, who were very senior, that had the relationships in these high-level places, and help them refine those relationships to a point where we could really develop a contract, a plan, a proposal for something that they needed. But the problem with that is, if you ask a place like, as an example, in Saudi Arabia, their intelligence organization is called the GIPs, the General Intelligence Protectorate. And they needed a lot of help, and they still do. Their idea of how to safely conduct intelligence operations outside their borders is very, very basic and ineffective. Their idea of doing this is go out and meet a contact, whoever you think that should be, and collect some information, whatever kind of information you think that the policymaker might be interested in. Write it down, if you can read and write, and then send it by fax back to the main office. And then from there, it gets printed out in paper and filed away in some repository and probably never seen again.
Is the GIP does this?
They do. Yeah.
So you were working with Mr. Keeley to make a proposal to the GIP, the Saudi Arabian CIA?
I was. And
Was it only Mr. Keeley?
no, it wasn't only Mr. Keeley. This is the very beginning. I was also working with another legend in the community named Lance Hamilton. And Lance is, if you look for him online, and I'm not suggesting you do, but if you do, you can find him. He's out there, and he's a former officer.
So his background is not classified.
I can't speak for him. I don't know what parts are or are
Okay,
not.
good point. Let me phrase it this way. Tell us what's publicly known about Mr. Hamilton.
Publicly, I can tell you that he was a former chief of station in several overseas locations. And
For which government agency?
I can't name the agency.
Okay. And did you work with Mr. Hamilton on this GIP-related project?
That's right. I worked more with John Keeley because he's the one that had the personal relationships that were required. If you can't talk to the right people, it doesn't matter how great your project is. You need that entry at senior levels, and that's what John had. But what he didn't have, and what Lance didn't have, was the actual operational experience and the training experience. And they just didn't know how to do it. They'd been through it, a long time ago, and things change. Technology changes. The CI, when I say CI, I mean counterintelligence. That means the local security services, the bad guys that are trying to find you, they change, their tactics change. So everything has to be modernized and kept up to speed. So go
So
ahead.
you were able to do that because you were less senior to them. Is that what I'm understanding?
I was less senior to these two, yes.
And so quantify for me, how often were you working with Keeley? How often were you working with Hamilton?
Keeley was over 2 years. So a contract doesn't just happen. The client has an idea, the Saudis, for what they want, and they always want intergalactic space travel before they master the basic principles of flight. They always want the best, the fastest, the most expensive. And you have to have a lot of engagement to really understand what they want, what they think they want, and develop a program for what they really need, how to help them improve over a 2, 3, 5, 10-year period. You don't just start running marathons. We call it crawl, walk, run. You master the basics, and over time and repetition, basics become advanced. So that was what we had to do in Saudi.
And did you eventually get to a place where their contract was signed with the Saudi government?
We did, but it took some time. Contracting takes time.
Did you help build that contract?
Of course, it was a 2-year period where I was working with John and Lance.
And could the three of you, Lance, Hamilton, John Keeley, and Zach Young, just go to Saudi Arabia and get them to sign a contract?
I'm not sure I understand.
Sure. Did you need a company behind you, or could you do it just with the three of you?
We did a lot, just the three of us.
Okay.
But I was really guiding the development of what became a contract. You can't just over an afternoon cobble out a contract based on requirements from a client that doesn't really understand what they need. There's a lot of interaction. In this case, it was 2 years. But after that 2-year period, we got to a point where we put together a contract that was realistic and that would have been the first of its kind. It was a contract to totally rebuild their security service from the ground up.
And did you enlist anyone's help? And how much money was this contract for?
So it was a 10-year program, and the first phase of it was 30 months, and that was $400 million.
Okay. And it was $400 million to just the three of you?
No, we brought other team members on as we need them. I mean, nobody does everything themselves, so they wanted everything. They wanted different types of collection methodology. They wanted security. They wanted analysts. They wanted lots and lots of things. And we had to go out and find all these things.
Have you heard of a company called DynCorp?
Yeah.
And did you approach DynCorp about this?
Yeah, DynCorp was brought on later. We had to understand what the opportunity was before we're going to get a company like DynCorp. To come on and support it and put their label on it.
Tell us, what is a company like DynCorp?
DynCorp is one of the largest defense contractors in the U.S. They help out. They do lots of different types of contracting. This was new for them.
I think you said it took about 2 years to build this contract or so.
Yeah, I know. I boomered it again. When she was crying, I mute myself so that y'all don't have to listen to that because you did not sign up to listen to a toddler cry. And I also don't want her temper tantrums on camera. But Nick Starro is more mainstream than me. He's a lawyer. He's an American, but he's been on with The Expert, Baker. He and Mo went to that trial she covered, Richard Allen. They went to the site when he came to visit. So it's one of those things of he's more mainstream than me. So he did stream this trial and he talked to one of Zach's attorneys. I knew I wanted to stream this. I just didn't have time to do it live, and I didn't want to compete with anybody because I like to do my own thing. Yeah, Nick was salty over this case too. Hard not to be. Yeah, he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's just not an American lawyer, obviously. Yeah, because you're an adult. So your temper tantrums, I would be more than happy to show on a stream. But a toddler's temper tantrums, I'd like to mute them and turn off the camera so that that's not a thing. Because, she's tired and she's fighting sleep, but that's just what she does because she's 2. But that doesn't need to be on YouTube. So, and yeah, it was Delphi. So, yeah, especially with people like Bubbles running about. Yeah, it's one of those things if she sits in my lap, but when she starts crying, I try to mute myself because it's not it's not appropriate. Plus, it's annoying for y'all because y'all didn't sign up for a toddler on a stream. But, some of you did. But that's second. Yeah, I Googled this guy, Lance Hamilton. He looks like kind of a badass. And I know I'm late with it, but I have my favorites. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat, New House Fund. I appreciate you guys so much. Y'all are awesome. So, all right, let's get back to it. And yeah, I do have it sped up. It's at 1.25 speed because I don't do anything on regular speed at night because we ain't got time for that.
That's right.
So after the contract was built, did DynCorp come on board?
They did. I mean, this is a flagship project, and they were very interested, and they understood that we need a lot of traditional, we'll call it back office support, and we needed legitimacy, the corporate legitimacy that DynCorp brought to the table. So we were partnering with DynCorp.
And so who were the parties to the contract? The Saudi Arabian GIP, and who was the other counterparty?
DynCorp. Yep.
And then did your relationship with DynCorp develop after that?
Oh yeah, of course it did.
Okay. And were you hired by DynCorp
I was the first person they hired. I mean,
for this project?
they had to wait until the contract was signed and funded before they start onboarding people. That's very typical in the defense space and the contracting. But as soon as we had the contract signed, before the ink was dry, I had an offer.
Okay. Corey, can we get a limited production of case exhibit 19? Sorry. Oh, it's in. Sorry. Your Honor, I've been advised by my partner that case exhibit 19 has been admitted to evidence. So can we show the jury case exhibit 19?
Yeah. You agree? Is it already admitted, 19? Okay. Thank you. Pull it up on all monitors.
Okay. And despite my glasses, I can't see, so I'm going to pull it up here.
Puddle Town with the dad jokes.
Okay. What are we looking at, Zach? What are we looking at?
This is my contract with DynCorp.
All right. So I see in the top, it says DynCorp International. And then it seems like it says being offered the position of Mentor 3. What is Mentor 3?
Mentor 3 is just a job category with 3 levels, and 3 was the highest.
Okay. And then it says you will report directly to Bill Purdy. Who's Bill Purdy?
Bill Purdy at the time was the program manager for the Saudi program on the DynCorp side. It was their representative.
Okay. And can we go down to the salary? There we go. And what was your annualized salary over there?
It was $361,000.
And then can we go down to the next paragraph, Corey, the one with severance in it?
It does hurt the mama heart to see her
Can
cry.
you see,
And I can't do anything about it.
For reasons other than cause?
Yep.
Yeah, Corey will highlight it for you. And then Corey, can you highlight where it says for cause shall mean? It's right at the end of the line here. Point out to you, it's over here, Corey. And then can you highlight number 2, engaging in any dishonest, unethical, immoral, or fraudulent conduct, or any gross misconduct which discredits or causes harm to the DynCorp International. And then 6, which says failure to comply with any applicable laws. Okay, thank you, Corey. Zach, what is
And that's literally what CNN accused him of doing. Dishonest, unethical, immoral, and fraudulent conduct. And failure to comply with applicable laws. Like, that's exactly what CNN accused him of doing.
these clauses media?
This is a defense contractor that does a lot of sensitive work. So the reputations are very, very important for these big companies. Most of the people involved in these companies have clearances, but more importantly, the company has a reputation. So they don't want anybody that's involved in any crimes, involved in any dishonest, unethical, fraud, anything that says it very well, which causes harm to DI, discredits or causes harm to DI. It's their reputation. That's what this clause is for.
And what would be the consequence if you did these things? And I think that it's called severance at the top. Corey, could you highlight severance for us at the top? Thank you. What would be the consequence if you did these things in your mind?
You'd be severed. You'd be terminated.
And then Corey, can you go to the next page on page 2, right at the top, the intellectual property? Yeah, can you zoom in on that?
I really like the way he's doing this. Like, this is how I read through things, and when I'm trying to explain something, like, I read through it and I highlight. It's like, okay, here's this. What does that mean? Here's this. What does that mean? Here's this. What does that mean? It's the easiest way instead of asking obscure questions and then just the jury having this document and not knowing what it is. And then they read through it when they're deliberating and they're like, I don't remember any of this shit. But they're going to remember when someone went, okay, see this part? What did this mean? What did that mean? I love when people do this. It makes it so easy to understand, and it makes the testimony easy to follow.
And then Stuart says training materials shall mean the full curriculum of written course instruction designed to impart operational tradecraft and/or clandestine intelligence collection concepts to trainees suitable for use by an external intelligence service. And then the representation here, where it says, you are the sole and exclusive inventor and owner.
That's right.
Okay, what's that about there?
This is the part that I brought to the table, that I was the one that was delivering, developing the operational tradecraft, the clandestine intelligence collection concept. This is from me.
And then, was this the final contract you entered into with Bancorp?
No, this is the initial one. But we had to do a new contract to comply with local Saudi business law.
Okay, so let's bring up, which has already been evidence, Judge, Exhibit 24. Is this the contract you were just talking about a second ago?
Yes, this is it.
All right, and Corey, the salary remained the same here?
No. Well, the base salary is about the same. It might have been off by a few numbers.
So that's a 10,000 for, Judge, sorry if I come up on the screen. That's a 10,000 paid bi-weekly, and then there's also, I think you told, is there also
That's
like a
$900.
hazard pay provision or anything like that?
So I can probably just explain it. That they had to, when they put people overseas in places like Saudi Arabia, as a policy, they have to include different type. They have to break out the pay into different categories, including like hazardous duty pay, cost of living allowance, things like that.
Okay, so they dropped it and then upped it with hazard pay, so you were coming out about the same.
It was about the same. Yep.
Okay. Corey, can you go to page 3 for me? And can you bring up the part that says other requirements? And then here where it says that employee acknowledges that his or her employment is contingent upon adherence to the employer's and client's code of ethics, business conduct, the employer's policy, procedures, ethics requirements. Oh, here we go. And the host country law. You see that?
And see,
What did that mean to you? Sorry.
it's similar to the other clause where they have a reputation that they have to protect, and if you're involved in anything that could be interpreted as unethical business conduct or a violation of even host country law, then you're going to be fired.
So Bancorp was an American company,
It was,
but they required you to follow the law wherever you were?
of course.
Or can we go to page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Let's go to 12, the conduct of the employee. Yeah, perfect. Can you bring that up? So this section is titled Compliance with the Law. And it says the employee must comply with all laws and regulations of the host country, including but not limited to laws related to currency. Zach, can you read that first one there?
This is black market.
So the employee must comply with all laws and regulations of the host country, including but not limited to the laws related to currency, black market, prostitution, drug use, and alcohol use. What does that mean to you, Zach?
In Saudi Arabia, these things are all illegal. Alcohol is legal in the U.S. It's not legal in Saudi Arabia. So it's included in the bucket of all those other things which are obviously illegal.
Okay, and then the next sentence also requires you to fulfill the law. Is that right? The employee must comply with applicable laws and regulations of any country with employees, a citizen or resident.
That's right.
Does compliance with law a big deal to Bancorp?
Very much so. Which is standard for a defense contractor.
Objection. Foundation.
Overrule that.
What about the clause black market in here? You explained drug use, you explained alcohol use. There's an express reference here requiring you contractually. Is there express contract reference, requiring you to not engage in black market?
It's right there.
And what does that mean?
It means what it means to, I can't speak for everyone, but it's an obvious definition. It means illegal or illicit trade.
Can you, Corey, can you go down to the termination section 18 where, let's see, page
He has
7.
officially taken over.
And, okay, that's great, termination request. Can you highlight that, Corey? But then I'm going to push you down to page 8. So, man, good. So we're in the termination request section, Zach, and can you read for me, I'm terrible with Romanettes, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you read section 8 for me of what we can terminate for cause for?
The employee violates or is charged with violating any host country law.
What does that mean, Zach?
It means that you don't have to even be convicted. If you were charged with
No.
charged with a law, then you're going to terminate for cause.
No,
And
no.
Corey, can you go to E severance?
No.
Pick that up.
No.
And so, Zach,
No.
we saw similar language before. Corey, can you highlight 2 and 6 again for me in severance? So here we've got again engaging in dishonest, unethical, immoral, fraudulent conduct, causes harm to Bancorp, and 6, fail to comply with any applicable laws.
No.
Would you get severance pay if you broke the laws? Zach?
No.
No, if you violate the law, then you lose severance pay. And this was especially important to me because I actually had a severance package because of my importance to the program.
And it does 6 say that you have to be convicted or just that you failed to comply with the law?
It says failure to comply.
Thanks, Corey. Can you take that down for me? So you mentioned this $400 million contract for 30.
30 months.
Okay. You were involved in drafting that contract?
I mean, I wasn't the lawyer who typed it out, but they needed my input for the statement of work.
Corey, can we have a limited production of Exhibit 18, please? Is that the contract we're talking about?
That is.
Your Honor, plans to offer Exhibit 18 into evidence?
Objection relevance. It's not his contract.
Oh, here we go. Angel bug. Ready? We're going to hit this button right here. We're going to go forward. There you go. Hold on. Hold on. Ugh, this is just so ridiculous. Like, they are just driving me nuts. Like, CNN is just so annoying. Please never grow up to be a CNN viewer. I'm really hoping CNN won't be around by the time you know what news is. Yeah. Just follow mommy for all things news. Right? Just follow me.
Right. Go ahead, Ms. Friedman.
Zach, before we start talking about all the provisions with everybody, I want to talk a little bit more about your involvement with the contract. So, Corey, keep it limited, but can you bring us to page 4? Zach, did you eventually go to Saudi Arabia and provide services?
I did.
And were you obligated to follow this contract when you were doing that?
Of course.
And did you have this contract and have to follow it to provide those services?
Of course.
The contract references Exhibit A, I think, on page 4. Corey, can you zoom out a little bit so you can see or show them where it is? Did you have
Flash man, I don't think it'll drag. I just think his testimony
I
is
probably
going to be
wrote it verbatim. Yeah. This is
long
why they needed me to
because
build
of what
out
he
this part,
did.
this appendix.
Your Honor, plans to offer Exhibit 18 to evidence.
My objection stands.
They have to explain
Same objection.
thoroughly
I'll
what
admit
he did
What
and what
was-
he didn't
18,
do
Your Honor.
18. I'll admit 18.
in order to,
Please, and thank you, Mr. Hayden.
yeah, but Flash man, remember, we stopped a lot.
So this is the contract
Like-
program for the development of the GIP. Is that, can you remind me what that's for?
The General Intelligence Protectorate.
What is that? Like, if it was the United States, what would it be?
So it's like their CIA. They have 2 services in Saudi. They have one that's focused on internal things that happen within their borders, like the FBI. And then they have the GIP, which is for everything outside of Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Corey, let's go to page 4, section B.
Bye,
Where it says
Tammy.
vendor
Have a good
personnel
night.
will
Don't
perform the
forget some
requirements
sleep.
identified in Appendix A. Is that the Appendix A we were just talking about? Is that?
That's the one.
So, Corey, let's skip the legalese and jump to Appendix A. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, Corey, bring me to 15, please. Page 15, paragraph 18. Okay. So, Zach, this paragraph says, vendor agrees that persons serving as mentors, what was your position?
Mentor 3.
Will be former employees of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency or the U.S. National Security Agency with a minimum tenure of 20 years or its equivalent unless the parties mutually agree otherwise. See that over there?
I see it.
Do you have 20 years of experience in the government?
I can't say how long I was there
Okay.
because it's classified.
Let's go to Exhibit A. Corey, on page
CNN
18.
hates that answer.
And can we, the objective portion of the contract, it says the ECLIPSE program will support institutional transformation through mentoring, training, and side-by-side capacity building. Talking at a high level, is there a difference between mentoring and training? How does that work?
There is. That's really what made this program very, very much the first of its kind. There have been other programs, other companies that were doing training. I mentioned a few examples in the UAE, but one of the lessons that I took away from that experience was that when you try to teach someone very, very hard skills, very hard to learn, take a lot of practice, a lot of discipline. As an example, it's a lot easier to go meet somebody at the mall, meet them at Starbucks, collect some information, pay them, be on your way, give them a call on the phone when you want to meet again. But you would never want to do that. It's a very bad idea for lots of different reasons. So we have a whole methodology of how to do that the right way. But the right way is hard. You have to be trained up to do it. You have to practice it. And even if you have all that practice and all that training, if you go back to the place from where you came, this feral operational element at your organization that's used to doing it the old way, we found that they almost immediately default back to the old way. They throw the training out the door. Let's just go back to being lazy. And that's what they do.
Mentoring part?
That's what I was getting to. So the mentoring part is, we need something more. We need to teach them the techniques, teach them the trade craft, teach them our ethics, our values. And then we need to stay with them. You don't just teach somebody to fish, you go out fishing with them. So that's what we were doing. We were working side by side with them. That was the plan, to make sure that what we were teaching and how we were teaching them to operate aligned with U.S. values and interests. And what better people to do it than people like us that had the respect and trust of the U.S. government right there in Saudi Arabia. So that's the mentoring part.
Objection.
Oh,
Foundation.
why?
Hearsay,
Man, shut up.
speculation, all of those things.
Corey, can you bring us to page 20? The part that says Senior Advisory Board. Can we get that all the way down to the bottom? Just draw it higher. There you go, zoomed in. Okay. Zach, this mentions a Senior Advisory Board and some folks underneath there. Do you see that?
I do.
Corey, can we go highlight the first person, the Honorable Leon Panetta, former U.S. Secretary of Defense and CIA Director? Zach, did you work with Leon Panetta?
I did. He was part of our team.
He was part of the team that was going to Saudi
damn.
Arabia.
He wasn't personally going to Saudi Arabia. That he needed people like me, the operators, the trainers, to go there and do the client interface. And that was my job. Leon Panetta is just a legend in the community, in the defense community, in the intelligence community, former director of CIA, former Secretary of Defense. So he brings a lot of legitimacy and trust to what we were doing.
How closely were you working with him?
Definitely not even on a weekly basis. But when he would come to Saudi, we would meet, we would have leadership meetings, and I had to be at all those.
So you knew you were, and he worked with you on a regular basis?
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next name, Michael Morrell, former acting and deputy director of the CIA. Did you work with Mr. Morrell?
I did, and on the same level. Mike Morrell was former acting and deputy director of the CIA, extremely senior, and he was also on our board.
And how often would you interact with Mr. Morrell?
Periodically, as required. When he wanted to be physically part of the program and touch it, make sure that it's what he expected.
Oh, I'm loving this because this tears all of CNN's. He was doing illegal shit, black market shit, like all of the fake stuff. Like this is just like chef's kiss. Like all these people that they're about to name are all these legit people that are like, if you know anything about the government, you've heard these names before. Like you've heard Leon Panetta's name hundreds of times. Like that name. You know that name is legit. You might not like the name. You might not like the person. But you know that they're legit within the US government and they're not just some Joe Schmo off the street that you found on LinkedIn. Like they're trying to make him out to be. This is just, I love this.
And that was my involvement with him.
And we got Jeremy Bash, former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense and also the director of the CIA.
That's right. Chief of staff to the director of CIA.
Thank you. But separately, so chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense, and separately he was the director of the CIA.
Yeah.
Did you work with Jeremy Bash?
I did.
Similar amounts or more?
Less than the first two.
Martin Peterson, former deputy executive director of the CIA. Did you work with Mr. Martin Peterson?
On an almost daily basis.
What were you doing with Mr. Peterson?
The same thing. I was responsible for training for all of it, not just the operations. I can explain more about that in a little while. But
especially in Florida,
Marty really needed a lot of feedback and where we were going, what we were doing, and how I plan to make everything consistent across the different types of training that we're doing.
Then we got Paul Nevin, former senior operations officer of the CIA.
That's right.
Did you work with Mr. Nevin?
Not as frequently, he didn't stay on board throughout the whole program.
Got it. And then we talked about Lance Hamilton, right?
That's him.
Is that the same Lance Hamilton?
That's the one.
Corey, can you bring us to the next page? I think it'll have his title in it. Okay, so Lance Hamilton is the former senior operations officer of the CIA.
That's right.
And I guess it's public now. And how often did you work with Mr. So we talked about how you worked with Mr. Hamilton before this contract was secured. Talk to us about how you worked with Mr. Hamilton after the contract was secured. So
Mr. Hamilton had a role. He wasn't fully on the ground in Saudi Arabia. He had a lot of what he did was on the U.S. side, facilitating the approvals that we needed back in Washington, D.C. So he was going back and forth.
And then Daniel Ennis, former director of operations of the NSA.
Right. So the NSA is the National Security Agency. They collect intelligence in different ways than CIA. It's called Signals Intelligence, and Daniel Ennis, or Mr. Ennis was responsible for all of their operations, was his last posting officially.
And how closely did you work with Mr. Ennis on this contract?
Daily basis.
And then we got David Terry, former director of analysis and counterterrorism center of the CIA.
I see that?
Did you work with Terry, Mr. Terry?
I did,
How often?
daily.
So is there a way you would refer to, are there others, I mean, before I get there, were there others that you worked with? Don't name them all off, but
Yeah.
of this caliber?
There were others. I mean, these are real, everybody knows who these people are. So that's why you're seeing them as part of the leadership team. But we had other officers that were there too, typically specialists in various areas.
Is there a way you all refer to yourselves
Workers?
Mentors. We were mentors.
under the contract? I'm saying as a team, was there a,
Oh, right. So I like to give a comparison. If you've heard of the Dream Team, the basketball team that had all the famous players, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. I know I'm dating myself with these names if you don't know them. But there was a point in time when the U.S., to compete at the Olympics, just gathered the best players that we could find. And it wasn't even fair to the other teams. So this is really the comparison for what the team that we had all in one place in Saudi Arabia. It's never been done. It hadn't been done officially. Never a group of people like this has been on the same operation, and it never been done commercially. So I call it the Dream Team.
okay. And what was it like working with the Dream Team?
It was fantastic. I mean, it was such an incredible experience and honor to be working with these people. I mean, I was definitely the youngest on the team, and it was humbling to be part of that.
Excuse me. Corey, we place that down for a minute. We'll come right back. And can we pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 76 in a limited time? These are one of the documents we all went through, the declaration, and there are certain redactions that have been applied consistent with your order. And this would offer Plaintiff's Exhibit 76 and 10.
And Your Honor, my objection remains.
Gotta go do mama stuff.
That it's hearsay upon hearsay, especially in the bottom email.
We're having a moment, guys. She likes to throw stuff when she has a temper tantrum. Yet another sidebar. Like, this is CNN. I'm getting sick of CNN. Okay. I'm gonna probably. I'm probably gonna call this stream because she's not gonna go. She needs to go to sleep, and she's not gonna do it without me. She wants me to go lay down with her because that's what the direction she's pulling me in. So we have been at this for 2 hours, and I think it'll be a 2-hour kind of a night. So this sidebar is a nice break. Yeah, and she didn't take a nap today because she fought a nap, like, because Slug told her that, Grandpa's in the chat. Say hi, Grandpa. Say hi. Say, I need to go to sleep. Yeah, say, I need to go to sleep, but I'm fighting it. So, yeah. I'm not even going to validate that because we don't talk about other channels on this channel. Whatever you do on Twitter is your business. But I think this is where we are. Yeah, that all the things that all the naps that she's not taking, she's going to regret when she's 30 years old. She took my phone and she's playing music. Yes, thank you. Turn the volume down. Thank you. I love you. Yeah, but it's time for bed. So I will see you guys. She's not sad. She needs to sleep and she is fighting it. So she is exhausted. And I can see it all the time. She is exhausted and we're just working on staying in our room by ourselves. And it's a work in progress. I mean, she's gotten used to sleeping in, having somebody sleep with her. We're in her room. And so, yeah, you got to turn that off. Otherwise, I will dance with you, baby. We got to shut off the stream, okay? But you got to turn it down. So before my stream gets hit with a copyright claim from David Guetta, we are going to see who we can redirect to. And I lost a subscriber during this. I must have pissed off somebody's mod somewhere. Oh well, fuck them. It's just one of those things of like, just I'm sick of YouTube. Like, just sick of people. Like, so much useless drama for no reason. Like, in the world, there's just so much useless drama. So I might do some members only streams just to get something different. So we are going to, what is live right now? I'm gonna send y'all to Valiant Renegade. He is doing Captain America Torched by Critics. I love Valiant Renegade. He does a lot of the money of movies and what things make money, what things don't, and the why. He works a lot with WDW Pro. He used to work a lot with Legal Mindset. I don't know if they still do. But I don't know, since I've been doing YouTube, I don't get to watch YouTube channels as much. But he's talking Captain America, and that should be fun. Something other than the normal topics or anything in legal. So y'all have a great night. Tell him I said hi. And y'all, I will see you tomorrow. We got a really busy day, so either tomorrow night or Friday morning. I kind of skipped my my catch up, and we might watch the Maya Kowalski hearing. So we'll see how it goes. But tell Valiant Renegade I said hi. Y'all have a great night, and we needed to go somewhere other than a law channel, because everybody is talking about the same thing who's live right now, and I can't just. We just need something different. We need variety in our lives, right, guys? Anyway, y'all have a great night, and I will see you on the next one. And remember, with everything that's going on in the world, give your littles an extra little hug. And if your littles are not little anymore, give them a call and just tell them how important they are to you, because not every day is promised. Bye, guys.